everyone has generational trauma or things that we don't want to repeat, even, if you grew up in a two-family home or however you grew up, even if you grew up where you had everything or you grew up where you didn't have everything, but it's just habits and behaviors. And I think having the courage and the strength to be able to break that and like kind of go on your own journey and just know that like you are not your mom, you are not your dad. That's like the culture that I came from is like I would never ask for help. Like I was, like always had two, three jobs, even if I had like a really good main full-time job, I would like have two, three, because it's like I almost am like addicted to the hustle. I'm addicted to the grind.
Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of The Measuring Post. Joe Massa here in a place that we can learn and grow together. And today I've got a very awesome guest, someone I'm really excited to have on here. This was actually a referral from my lovely wife. This is somebody that used to teach a workout class that she attended and really decided to step away from the fitness world, not altogether, but as a profession, short term at least, to follow one of her own passions. She's the founder of Love You First Journey. It is not only a movement, it's a brand rooted in self-love, healing, and personal transformation. She's a speaker, a creator, a guide that helps women reconnect with who they are at their core. Please welcome today Mrs. Maty Ethel. How are you, Maty?
I'm so well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having having you on the show. Thank you for coming onto my show. And yeah, it was great when my wife told me about you. She's like, "Oh, I love this girl. You were teaching a stride class where you guys were working on your health and fitness." And she's like, she's just such a cool, mellow person. And she's doing this whole journey, this new program, and she's got to be on your podcast. So I know once we scheduled that interview, the pre-interview, I knew right away I wanted you on the show. You're such an awesome person. So from there, tell us a little bit about you and, how did this whole journey start? Where did the idea behind Love You First Journey begin?
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me on your show. Your wife is amazing. I've taught her in two different classes, so it's awesome that like our paths met. So I appreciate it. So yeah, I am CEO, founder of Love You First Journey. I started this back in 2021 as a personal blog, actually. Was going through these cycles of like, repeating the same thing over and over again and not really feeling authentic to myself, like wondering like, why are people treating me this way? Like this, that, and the other. And then really kind of dove deep into like, maybe I should start treating myself the way that I want to be treated, like that golden rule. And so I just kind of went on a self-love journey, started traveling on my own. I went to the movies. I saw Thor by myself, which was really cool because it was in like a 4D movie. So like the chairs were moving and everything. But yeah, that's just kind of how it started. And then more and more, I started building more things into it and trying to figure out what more that I wanted to do through it. I knew I developed the 4 pillars of emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual health, and like how they all tie into self-love. And then started making merch. So this is one of my slangs that sayings: I can, I will, I did. If you ever follow me on my Mindset Mondays, it's just, a mindset shift of like, I can do it, then I will do it, and then you did do it. So yeah, that's kind of where Love You First journey started. It started just as a personal blog, and now it's here.
And I love the idea behind it, but I think it's something people often overlook is that, and I'm going to use the word date, but that's not really the right word, but you kind of have to date yourself a little bit sometimes in the respect that show yourself the love, take yourself out, do something good for you, whether that's going to see a movie by yourself, grabbing lunch by yourself, whatever that is. If you're not taking care of yourself and filling your own cup up, you can't pour from an empty cup, as the old saying goes. But I think it's a really unique way to be the best version of yourself, is to not treat yourself as a utility for other people. You've really got to take care of
Mhm.
yourself. And I love the 4 pillars. It seems like it's so common, knowledge: your physical, your spiritual, your mental, your emotional. But if you don't put in the work and separate those into different buckets, you really don't do the work to take care of yourself. So I love that you did that. And I love the 4 pillars. And what I really love, because this reminds me of another friend of mine. You said Mindset Mondays. A good friend of mine, his name is Mario Lane. He was actually on this show, over a year ago, and he's in a battle for his life right now with cancer. but he does Make a Move Mondays and Turn the Page Tuesdays. And I like those
Mm,
little acronyms and sort of ways to remember that each day should have a purpose and a focus for you. So is
mm.
that something you do for every day of the week, or is it just your mindset Mondays?
No, I am a queen. I love a good alliteration. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I love the Mindset Mondays. When I was in the fitness industry, Transformation Tuesday, Throwback Thursday, Wisdom Wednesday, Food for Thought Friday. I could keep going on. Self love or self love Saturday or self love Sunday. I do think every day kind of serves a purpose, and even if you try to plan out your whole entire day of how it's going to be, sometimes one day may be a day where you're just active and you're doing this or recording content or whatever that is. And then another day is just like, you know what? It just need to rest and relax. And I think we don't listen to our bodies as much as we need to. Because our bodies literally know what it needs and we try to override it. And then eventually your body's going to override you. So yeah, I definitely love like each day having a purpose when it comes to it. I just love a mindset Monday, a motivational Monday, because it just starts your week off right. It's like, how am I going to start this week? Start your week off with a good intention, shift it, do what you need to do. Um, and that's just kind of how I just always work out on Monday, like start my day with a workout, never skip a Monday. It's just like starting your day. What do you got to do? Journal, drink that cup of coffee, have that me time. Cause I think that's super important. Something that I've incorporated to my routine is like my me time. Just, I wake up, I pray, I journal, and then I listen 20 minutes to an audio book. And then I'm like, all right, my day's set. I took 20, 30, 40 minutes to myself. Now let's get it going.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of having a morning routine. I do something similar, and it's so important to get your mind right and to get your day prioritized and to sort of cut through the noise and the clutter. In fact, I'm going to give you an
Hmm.
alliteration day you can use that I just made up because I
I
like to
love
do
it.
this. We're going to call it Sleep In Sundays because every once in a while you do have to let your body rest because
Yes.
the hustle culture has been built around being an entrepreneur, and it's like the more you work the more successful you are. That's this mentality that's out there, and that is so far from the truth. I don't want to work 80-hour weeks. I've done that and it is terrible. And there's like this unwritten and spoken rule like, oh, if he's working that much he must be crushing life. And maybe you're just spending a lot of time doing things you shouldn't be doing, and you're not
That
being
part.
busy, you're being wasteful with time. So listen to your mind and your body and your spirit and
Yes.
connect back with what you need, because that's truly how you're going to grow and find that peace in your mind that can start your day, your week, your month, your year off right.
Exactly. I totally 100% agree. 100%. Yeah.
So it looks like you mainly focus working with women. Is that sort of the goal for your company, Love You First Journey, or is that really more of the demographic you see needs this more than like the male counterpart? Or do you work with both sides of the fence? You just kind of focus more on women?
I just tend to focus more on women. I think women are tend to be attracted more to my content. Honestly, I think everyone deserves self-love. So there's no like if a man was like, "Hey, can I?" Of course, it's no female only. I do think men definitely need it as well. I do work with Black Boys Brunch. I did like a couple months ago. I partnered up with Rumble Boxing in Central Park, and we did like a boxing and brunch with them. And they were partner up with me. I built a store for them for their merch and everything. So just really like getting them to lean into their softer side and lean into like doing yoga and more spiritual things. But when it comes to women, I do feel as a woman, so I can relate from being a woman and just seeing like what how my mom raised me and like how strong she was and how we never really talked about self-love, but like she is like the definition of self-love. When I see her, like she don't let no one, like she immigrated here in the 90s. Definitely like worked being French speaking and having people tell her, oh, you can't do this job, and like proving people wrong because she knew her worth and everything. And I admire that about her, with her strong will. And just I'm surrounded by so many strong women who give, and like like don't accept the help or don't ask for help. So it's like it's those women where I'm like, no, you do need to ask for help. You do need to make sure, like you said, make sure that your cup is overflowing, because you are the representation, if you have children or anyone who's watching you, of seeing like, take care of yourself, love who you are so people know how to treat you, and being able to, not be burnt out, not working 80 hours weeks like we were talking about. Because it's not sustainable. It's like, nobody wants to be the superhero all the time. Sometimes you just want to be in the corner, read a book, and be left alone. And that's okay. And so that's just kind of the messaging that I want to get across. Is just like, you can take a break. It's okay. And like, rest is productive. My best friend tells me that all the time. I actually we work together, and she's sometimes when I'm like, I don't even like telling her I'm sick, because when I tell her I'm sick, she's gonna tell me to take a day off. I'm like, no, I gotta get work done. And she's like, no, you got to practice what you preach. I'm like, you right. You right. So, I work with anyone. I work with children. There was a, time where I would help athletes, like guiding them through a meditation before like a big game or any of that. Just like really setting into your mind and really figuring out what is your part as a person of when it comes to, really loving who you are. So, um, but yeah, to answer your question, I'm open for anyone who wants to work with me. Anyone who wants to be a part of the community is welcome. Um, it just tends, I tend to be around a lot more women.
No, I get it. And I love, I think men and women separately, but also combined, they do need their own spaces to have conversations and to talk with people that can relate to them, whether that's man to man, woman to woman, or just,
Mhm.
culture to culture. I think those are important spaces to maintain. But you said something that I want to go back on because I think it's a true definition of strength is when you understand when you need help. Because there's this sort of also, and this is sort of, I've noticed as more of a male quality, or typically you'll see like the strong, independent woman or a single mother who lives this sort of, they suffer in silence. And it's because they're
Yes.
like, I don't need any help. I could do it myself. So keep putting weight on my shoulders. And I don't care how overwhelmed and stressed I feel. It really takes a strong individual to look in the mirror and go, I need some help. Like I am drowning in whatever I put myself in, or whether it's my family responsibilities, my work responsibilities, being a
Hmm.
mother, being a father. And if you can't sometimes go, I need help, then you're not being strong, you're being stubborn. And I think that's
Yes.
something that is easy to do because again, I do it myself all the time. I have a lot of people that rely on me, not only my wife, my children, my nephews, my brother, my mom, my dad. And all of a sudden when you get call after call after call, and it's like, hey, can you please? And all of a sudden I'm like, man, when is someone going to help me out? But then again, I
Yes.
catch myself going, you know what I didn't do? I didn't call any of them to ask for help. They called me. So they were being smart and I was being stubborn. So there's a truth to that. You have to understand when you need help. And I think it's
Yeah.
really awesome that you're teaching people that skill set that, and I'm glad your friend is calling you out sometimes going, no, Maty, stop working, turn your computer. I have to tell Mana, my wife, all the time. She'll be like 9 o'clock on a Friday, like, I got to get this last. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like,
You
you're
don't.
working for the county. Like, it's a holiday weekend. You don't have to do that. But her mentality is always just continue to serve, continue to be. So,
Hmm.
unfortunately, sometimes we do have to eat our own advice, and even if we don't like it.
Yeah, and that's like the culture that I came from, is like, I would never ask for help. Like I was, like always had two, three jobs, even if I had like a really good main full-time job, I would like have two, three, because it's like I almost am like addicted to the hustle. I'm addicted to the grind. I like, like doing it. And, but then, it catches up. One day I wake up, I'm like, my whole body, like I'm not sick. I don't have a fever, nothing. My body is just, no, if you don't gonna sit down, I'm gonna make you sit down. So it's, and there is like a pride thing or not pride, I would say ego. Ego, and I was actually talking to my little sister about ego and energy yesterday, and like, when do you not need to like waste your energy on different things? But like, when it comes to ego, it's like, oh, I have to do this, or, they're not gonna think I'm valuable, or they're not gonna be, and it's like, why do we really care about that? What they think about it. It's like, why are we so, it's like, what do you think about yourself? It's like every time you're expecting something from someone else, it's like, do you do that for yourself? That's like the question that keeps me going, is like, well, this person doesn't treat me right, but do you treat yourself right? Yes. Okay. So why does it matter if so and so is not treating you right? As long as you treat yourself right, it's like mirror on them. They're like, oh, I can't treat Mati that way because she don't treat herself that way. And then the other thing is boundaries. That's another thing. No, period, is a complete sentence.
I love that. And it's funny, I talk about that all the time, but you're so right. You do have to set the boundaries, but no is a whole answer for sure.
Yes.
No explanation needed. It does not need a no, but no, I'm sorry. It could just be, nah, not today. Not going to happen. And it's okay.
Period.
That's a perfectly good answer, but you're right. If you don't set those lines in the sand where you go, this is unacceptable for you to treat me this way because I don't do it to myself. I don't do it to you.
Hmm.
That's where you know where you work with someone and where you don't work with somebody. But it's
Exactly.
really important also to understand your limitations. But I think some of that comes with age and maturity, right? Because I'm the same way. When I was younger in my 20s, even now I'm in my early 40s, I have 2 or 3 jobs. I'm always got a side hustle. And, the running joke is I don't string along ex-girlfriends, it's ex-careers. And I'm like, dude, do I really need to still be able to do this job? Probably not. But up here, I'm like, gotta go, gotta go. What can I do? For me, it's a networking tool. It's a way to be like the best I can. But at some point I
Hmm.
go, I'm burning myself out. And I like what you said, you're eventually your body is going to make you sit down if you don't sit down. Your body gets sick of you. It's like, Joe, you're the problem. I'm going to put you down, whether it's with a cold that you're not even sick, but your body just goes, nope, we're going to hibernation mode. And I think that,
Yes.
as you mature and as you get a little older, you do realize that the ego is not as important. It's
Hmm.
not high school popularity anymore. I don't care if I'm the cool kid anymore. I'm a grown adult with children. My son's in college. He's going through that. My daughter's in middle school. She's going through the popularity contest. For me, I just need to be a good example for them on how you take
Hmm.
care of yourself, how you take care of your community, your family, and just stand on business. And I think that's a lot of what you teach in your program. And I love that. So when somebody does join the Love You First journey, what can they expect is and like an onboarding sort of how does the process go and what do you do with them when they get inside your community?
So right now, I'm gonna be starting a mentorship in 2026. So right now I'm just in the other side of just planning everything. But before I even do the program, we're gonna be doing challenges. But if people just want to be in the community, it's easy. Follow me on Instagram. I have a newsletter that I send out every Friday. It's called Friday Love Notes, that people can kind of follow through and everything. So, in the process of like having like a place like a Facebook group where people can just join, um, and just be on there so that we can communicate. But like right now, it's just people want to join the community. It's follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook at Love You First Journey. And let's just do it. Let's comment. Let's have a conversation. I love talking to people. Like my dad, he's just like, oh my God, you like growing up, I had like a little bit of a speech impediment. Like couldn't it took me longer to be able to speak clearly. And then once I did and went through like speech therapy, he was like, Lord, look what this girl we got her talking. Now she won't stop. And no, I won't stop. I love talking to people. I love listening to their stories. I think everyone has a story when it comes down to it. And, um, as much as social media may get like a bad rap or whatever, but I just, there's so many stories out there that, especially when it comes to self love. So anyone who wants to join, they can follow me on Instagram. 2026, I got a lot of cool things, fun things coming through. So really subscribing to the newsletter, which the link is in my bio. If you follow, once you follow me on Instagram. So, that's
Yeah,
where a lot of
we'll
this
put the
kind of,
links around this when we
yeah.
release it also so we can connect and we'll share you on our platforms as well cuz I really love the work that you're doing in finding that self-worth. But I think one thing you really do that's cool that I've sort of gathered from just looking at your content, you want to break the generational patterns of people
Yes.
that like a lot of times whatever we learned in our home life from mom, dad, whoever took care of you, older siblings, that kind of becomes who you
Hmm.
are, good or bad, and oftentimes it's bad behavior that comes from above. And again, you hope and you pray that people have good moms and dads out there, but that's not always the case. Some
Yep.
people go through traumatic home lives when they're growing up. So usually there's two thought processes that come from that. You either become who you despise and perpetuate the bad behavior, or you
Hmm.
180 and you completely break the chain and start a clean slate. That tends to be the harder of the two to see. So I love that you talk about unlearning old beliefs. So go into that
Yes.
a little bit on the importance of that.
Yeah, it's super important. We everyone has generational trauma or things that we don't want to repeat, even, if you grew up in a two-family home or however you grew up, even if you grew up where you had everything or you grew up where you didn't have everything, but it's just habits and behaviors. And I think having the courage and the strength to be able to break that and like kind of go on your own journey and just know that like you are not your mom, you are not your dad, you're not your aunt, you're not your neighbor, you're not those people, you are you. And the real importance of breaking these is so that you can set new generational um memories, like new things that like we can learn from. And I just think I grew up in a home where the women did everything. The women were like, we were like, my mom worked two jobs as far as I know. So like, I think that's where a part of it where I get like that hustle culture is like, you got to work because she was taking care of all of us. She was taking care. It was, my little sister and me are like, we're 14 years apart, but like the three, I have an older brother and a little brother, but putting it like driving us all to school. She went back to school, and just like seeing that hustle. And so like for me, I was like, oh, that's what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do. But then realizing, even now she realizes, she's like, no, that's not the way to live. And right now, I also don't want to wait till I'm, late, like in my 60s, 70s, wanting to relax. No, I want to relax probably in the next 5 years. I want to be chilled. I don't, I really want to enjoy going on vacation and not having to worry about X, Y, and Z. I want to be able, when I do have children, that we are, I'm not passing on my trauma onto them, that they're learning from it, that they know that they can love themselves from an early age. Cause I know, like you said, your daughter is going through like the popularity phase and all that stuff. Like we've all been there. We've all wanted to be the cool kid. Like I was the athlete, I'm not in my business, but I was the athlete. That's what the
Yeah.
sports was like, my outlet and everything. But I think just really when it comes to like really, one thing is like naming it, because that's the hard part, is naming the trauma, and then being able to work your way and be like, don't use it as an excuse, but use it as a motivator to be better when it comes down to it. But like with self love and loving who you are and, unconditionally, and giving yourself the grace that you're asking for other people, like it shifts differently. And I've noticed that in myself because I was that person. I was like, oh, no one likes me, or man, I wish I was with a part of the popular kids. Oh, this person hates me, this, that, and the other, from overthinking. And then I just got to a point where it's like, no, I'm pretty badass. I need to give myself some credit, and this is the Capricorn in me talking. But it's just that shift feels different. And I think that is why, like, even when it comes to relationships, like, I think I've been in like really crappy relationships because, um, didn't really have a great male figure in my life growing up to see like what a perfect relationship was. And then when I started my self-love journey, it was the first time in a long time where I could tell, someone asked me, what do you want in a relationship? And I was able to just spit it out right there. And 3 years strong, me and my husband are there. And for him, he doesn't believe my past. He's like, I can't believe that you were that person. I'm like, yeah, I was, but that was old me. And that was just like, the journey that I needed to get to be the person that I am today. So really, like, for me, I just had to name it, and, from there, crush it. And, instead of using it as an excuse, making it my motivator to keep going.
Yeah, it's easy to look at your trauma and your past and make that a crutch and make it something that you go, I can't achieve because of A, B, or C, X, Y, or Z. Doesn't matter what that was, a missing parent, a trauma, some sort of abuse. Those are all terrible, terrible things. But at some point, you're
Mm-hmm.
right. You have to identify what that trigger is, what caused that problem, and then you have to either surpass it or you're going to live under the shadow of it forever. And you said
Yes.
another thing I think is valuable for people to know. You said, I don't want to wait till I'm 60 or 70 to be able to breathe and relax and enjoy life. Again, that's part of the hustle culture. Like we're supposed to give our entire lives dedicated to workforce and, whatever, perpetuating the social security system by working and making money and all this stuff. But like this is our lives. This is my livelihood. I don't want to work till I'm 80 and then just die after 6 months of retirement. Like, I look at
Right.
my dad now, who he's self-employed, but he's 70 years old almost. Not there yet. I know he'll get mad at me for saying that because he's not there yet. And his birthday's in a week. He's 69 next week. But the reality is he's still working, and I know
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't want to work. Um, And actually, he'll be 68. I apologize. He's going to get married twice now. Sorry, Dad. But the
Happy
reality
birthday,
is, like,
Dad.
I don't. When I'm 68, I don't want to be working. I don't
Right.
want to. I want to be the guy that's golfing and traveling and watching my grandkids and not being stuck in this hustle culture. And part of the way that I'm achieving that is by not letting anything that happened to me in my past, anything bad that happens to me today, whether that's a trauma experience or losing a job or having a financial hardship. You can't live in those moments. Everything in life is temporary, good and
Exactly.
bad. You can't
Right.
you can't live in the valleys and you can't stay on the peaks. So you got to learn
Right.
to roll with the waves and just be willing to see things for what they truly are. And I love another thing you said that I want to give you kudos on, because talking about how, like, you and your husband, he looks back at you like there's no way that you used to be that person. We all have to move forward, and we all have pasts, some good, some
Hmm.
bad, but all those things that happened in your past shape who you are today. So
Period.
you do have to own them, but you can move past them and grow away from them and be a different
Exactly.
person. So I love that, he recognizes who you are and the beauty of you today, but still has a hard time being like, wow, you came from all that great chaos or whatever it was, and this is who you are. So you took something that was traumatic and you made something really great about it. And that's gonna segue into my next question for you. You talk about often how, like, people have a hard time finding their self-worth. So
Hmm.
what is something that you wish people understood more about how to find that self-worth?
So I think when it comes to self-worth, and most of the time when I'm talking with people about it's like high school kids because I worked in education for like 7 years prior to, and it's like getting yourself, it's like, what worth do you have? Like, what is worthiness is, I guess, is the first question that you would ask them. It's like, what is worthiness? What is worthy to you? Why is that worthy to you? And then it kind of gets them to thinking a little bit more of like, you know, do you think you're worthy to this? And then asking them like why or why not when it comes down to it, like sports, for example, when I always like to use the analogy of like track and field and volleyball. Like track and field is an individual sport. But there's worth in it because like if everyone does well in their event, then you get more points, and then the higher the points, the more chance that you get to win first, second, or third, or whatever. But in volleyball, you have to have a setter, you have to have hitters, you have to have passers. You can't be missing one, because when you miss, and so that's where like value and worth comes in. Like, you are worthy to be on this team because without you, or you got to see like, this is my worth. Like, I'm the setter, I'm the playmaker. Like, I am worthy of this position. And without me in this position, who's going to set the plays up for my middle blockers and my outside or my right side? So it's just, when it comes to worth, it always just goes back to, you got to ask the question to yourself. Like, it's like, well, this person doesn't think I'm worthy. Why? Because of X, Y, and Z. Then from there, you're like, okay, but do you think you're X, Y, and Z? And then they pause. Most of the time they pause and they're like, oh, well, I didn't think of it that way. It's like, yeah, like, like I said earlier, you can always wonder why other people are feeling a certain way about you, or their perspective of you, because everyone's perspective of you is never going to be the same. But you have to know your worth, your value when it comes down to it. And we all have these moments, even myself. There are moments where like forget about my worth, and I forget, and then I'm like, wait, hold on, time out. No, I am worthy. Other things that could also help with that is like, write down your worth, write it on a sheet of paper, whatever it is, once you've like figured out what you're worth and how worthy you are, write it on a sheet of paper, fold it up, put it away. Right. And so the moments that you feel unworthy, pull that piece of paper back up and read it as a reminder, as of like, oh, okay, I kind of fell off a little dark hole for a quick minute, but I'm back up. It's like, like I tell my friends when they're down, I was like, let me fix your crown because it's a little crooked right now. Let's fix it. Let's get it straight. Because your friends can tell you you're worthy. Everyone else can tell you you're worthy. But if you're not believing it here in your soul, it doesn't even matter. You have to believe it in yourself. And I think worth is so important. I think we're all worthy and we all matter in our own way, shape, and form. And like, everyone doesn't have to like you. Like, it's okay.
Point
There's like,
blank. And you know what? The people that are always the toughest on you, like you talk about, oh, well, they don't think I'm worthy. And you're like, well, do you really care? You know what I always notice? It's always the person that isn't doing anything themselves that's the first one to point their finger at you, right? The
that
first
part.
one that says it can't be done. Those are the people you should never listen to because they're not doing
Exactly.
anything themselves. So they want to keep you with them underachieving and not believing in yourself. And you're right. It's really
Exactly.
easy for us to not believe in ourselves. You know, a lot of people call it like imposter syndrome. Like, I can't do
Exactly.
this. I know everyone told me I can be great, but I don't feel it internally. Like I'm feeling like an imposter. This isn't really me. But I love what you said about write it down. Or have some like milestone pictures to use it since you're a
Hmm.
fitness enthusiast yourself. Like if you're starting a weight loss journey, there's always the day one picture and then there's
Hmm.
the day 200 picture. And you can put
Exactly.
those side by side and see visible differences, right? Usually in a healthy way if you're being consistent. But then mentally, you might still have a day where you're like, I overate today. I feel like crap. And then you feel guilty and you're like, I'm never going to get there. But then you know, whether you wrote it down or took a picture, go look at that and go, okay, never mind. I'm actually so much further than I was a year ago, 200 days ago. That's the motivation mindset you have to remember. And again, there's going to be back and forth, ups and downs.
Exactly.
You're going to have good, you know, you're going to plateau, you're going to drop off. Sometimes it's going to be Thanksgiving and you're going to eat a whole ham and you can't worry about it. You get back to work the following
Exactly.
week, but you just got to be consistent with it. And I think it's important to remember that whether loving yourself, achieving a goal, starting a business, it's daily practice, it's daily consistency. It's never
Hmm.
truly a destination. And it's a, to be very cliche because of the name of your business, it's a journey, right?
It
It's a
is.
daily journey. It's not a destination. And I think that's important to
Exactly.
remember.
No, yeah, it's super
So, with
important.
that in mind, if someone's on the path of self discovery, healing themselves, loving themselves, there's a lot of self haters out there. I've been in that
Yes.
boat. So, there's no judgment if you're feeling that way. What's step number one? How do we get this wheel in motion?
Naming it, naming that that's the first thing is naming it. I think it's coming to a sense of like, I need to start loving myself and admit it to yourself. Cause I think a lot of times we are afraid, even though like, if we're afraid to admit it to someone else, we're afraid to admit it to ourselves. And then, start writing, like for me, when I started my journey, I had to admit it to myself. I had to admit that it is time for me to start loving myself. I cannot continue to live in this circle this whole entire time. And then after that, um, when it comes to, after, sorry, after you name it, then you want to start doing small things for yourself. Buy yourself flowers. All right. Like I said earlier, go to the movies by yourself. And again, when you go to the movies or you go out a date on yourself, and I love the word date. You need to first date yourself
Agree.
because you want to start thinking, how do you want people to treat you? That's like, how do you want people to treat you? Write that down. I want people to treat me with respect. I want people to treat me with this. I want people to treat me with that. And then once you do that, then ask yourself, do I treat myself that way? So it's always just coming back to like what you're asking other people to do. What are you doing? Are you doing that yourself? Like I would always wanted people to treat me this way, but then I'm not treating myself that way. I'm not treating myself with the respect that I have because when you allow things to happen and you let people treat you a certain way, like we said earlier, then people will treat you that way. If you are always down on yourself or you're being a negative Nancy all the time, one, people are not going to want to be around you because the energy is just not where it needs to be. And then two, like people are just like, people already see that you don't love who you are. And I think when you start a self-love journey, it's just, what do you want out of it? Like, what do you want to achieve? Like, how do you see yourself? Like, are you burning out? Like, what do you need to do? Like, take that vacation. Like these things where we're like, oh, well, I don't have time to do it. Why don't you have time? Because I have to do something for someone else? No, put yourself first. Like, choose you. And I think the big thing is people think it's selfish. They feel bad for putting themselves first. And like, no, you don't need to feel bad because you can't show up for anyone else if you're not showing up for yourself. So I just,
Yeah,
when it,
and it's
yeah,
really easy to feel that way. I think we're programmed to always put ourselves last. And you said
exactly.
something I want to add to. You said, you know, think about how you want to be treated. And I think another way to look at that is, how are you not willing to be treated? It's not that I want everyone to
Yes,
love me and think I'm great, but I can't make everyone think I'm great. I don't need to. But what I can do is say, I will not tolerate you treating me this way. And if
exactly.
you do treat me this way, next on to the next person. and
Period.
and there's this subset of people out there, and it's unfortunate. You have to be aware of them. There are takers, there are users and abusers,
Hmm.
and if they see a little bit of vulnerability in you and they say, oh, Maty's going to let me get away with this, if they, the old saying, give an inch, take a mile. If they see
Exactly.
some sort of crack in your armor, they will go in and they will take advantage of you. So you have to set those standards and boundaries up and say, look, you don't have to like me, but you're not going to disrespect me and still get access to me. You can be
Exactly.
disrespectful, but you're going to do it from a distance because you're not in my
Exactly.
circle anymore. And you're
Yeah,
right. You shouldn't treat yourself as an afterthought, and you should take those times. Don't be so busy you forget to live your life, because someday you'll be
exactly.
sitting on your deathbed and go, wow, I worked 100 hours a week. And what did that do for you in this moment? Nothing. I hope someday I'm sitting on a deathbed, hopefully many, many years from now, looking back at all the wonderful things I did in life, the people I helped, the memories I made, the family I raised, and just going, you know what, Lord, take me now. It's fine. I have no regrets. But you can't
Exactly.
do that if you don't have a vision. And one last thing before I get very long winded. It's part of who I am. But I think what's important also is to remember that um, you are in charge of how people treat you,
Yep.
and you're not in charge of how they act. You're in charge of allowing them to treat you a certain way. So you
Hmm.
have to set the right tone, love yourself, and don't allow people to come in and steal your energy, steal your time, especially if they're not worthy of it. My wife is notorious for this. I call it A game. She gives her A game to people that go, why are you giving your A game to this person? You're spending so much energy on somebody that is not giving you even the D game in return, the C game in
Exactly.
return. So, like, no, it's got to be, obviously some days are more give than take. But if you're in a friendship, a relationship, a marriage, a business partnership, it has to be a two-way street. And if
Yep.
you're always give, it's not a ship, it's not a friendship, it's a give. You're giving something.
Yeah.
You're being taken advantage of.
Yeah. And that's where boundaries come in. And like, I think that's like the biggest part of the self love journey is you got to set a boundary. You have to be able to like, because if you are a giver and you continues give and then you're like, well, I don't want this person to feel bad. Then you don't love, like, you don't protect your peace. You don't protect your time. And that's, like you get to choose. I think like that's what a lot of people don't, you get to choose your happiness. You get to choose how people treat you. You get to choose who you let in and who you don't. And, and I think it's okay. You don't need 100 friends. You don't need 20 friends. You can have three, four closest, you can have one friend and that you'll be content for the rest of your life. And it's okay. And you'll meet people and like, and the growth is also a big part of it too. It's just growing and being able to like go to that next step, go to that next chapter and like not letting anyone hold you back. But I do believe that most of the time when it comes to holding people back, it's us holding ourselves back. Going back to what you said about imposter syndrome, just, like for me, I feel like it's just kind of like you got to choose you first. You got to put you first. You just have to.
And imposter syndrome, I think a lot of it comes from just sort of our innate, desire to have instant gratification. And that's part of the technology we have, the cell phones, everything, where it's like, I don't have to go to the library and look some up. It's instant on my phone. I can look it up,
Yes.
right? So we have this mentality that everything is going to happen like instantly. And that's where the imposter comes from. Like, well, I just started a podcast. I don't have 1 million downloads. Nobody must like me. I'm terrible. I shouldn't do this. I quit. It's like,
Right.
whoa, 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 pump the brakes a little bit, guy. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. And I'll go back to the fitness thing. Like, I was heavy for a while. I'm still heavier than I'd like to be, but one point I was really heavy. I was like almost 290 pounds, 280 pounds, which is really big. I was disgustingly uncomfortable with my body. I didn't get that way overnight, right? It took time for me to get overweight, and it took time to lose the weight. And, I
Hmm.
lost like 60 pounds, and now I work out every day. And in high school, I was the athlete. So after high school and I had kids and just got complacent. It didn't happen overnight. Getting healthy didn't happen overnight. We have to
Exactly.
understand that it's a time and consistent effort that goes into anything, whether it's your health, whether it's your wealth, whether it's starting a business, a journey,
Hmm.
setting a boundary. If you had a bad traumatic childhood, that's a whole childhood. That's years of trauma that you're trying to erase overnight. Doesn't work that way. Time, effort, consistency, that's going to get you there.
Exactly. Totally agree. 100%.
I love it. So, Maty, how can people find you? What's your website? How do they get involved other than just joining you on Instagram? By the way, follow her on Instagram. I love your content. It's really raw, it's emotional, and I think that's the best sort of content. It's the stuff that you can relate to.
Hmm.
I talked about this in a different show, like for like drug addiction or alcohol addiction. The people that lead those classes, they're usually the ones that went through it themselves. They're not the one
Exactly.
from the perch going, "Don't do drugs, don't drink." They're the ones that go, "I lived you in your shoes." You want that raw connection, that feeling like I can trust Maty because when I watch your content, I can see how passionate and empowered you are to share this. So I just want to say, I love looking at your stuff online. So outside of Instagram, what's the website? Where can we find you?
www.loveyoufirstjourney.com. I just launched a store Instagram, loveyoufirstco.co. So I'm all about, yes, we're practicing, not practicing, we're living the self-love journey, but also let's wear it. Embrace it. The affirmations are there. I got stuff for kids, beanies, especially right now in the Christmas season. The holiday season is coming up. Um, and then, yeah, I think website, Instagram right now is like the best two places to really get in contact with me. Like you said, I think being vulnerable is super important, being who you are. And, I'm never going to post anything that I didn't go through myself. Just like you said, like, I think the best teachers are the ones who've gone through it and who've been through it. And I'm still going on the journey myself. So,
Well,
started this, yeah, we're like,
it's never ending.
it's
Yeah.
never ending. You learn there's just new parts of your life, new parts of your season that gets down to it. So yeah, if you're interested in either any one-on-one, you can DM me on Instagram or find my email on my website. But yeah.
And real quick, I know you mentioned you glossed over it high level earlier. I'm not sure if you have enough information to share about that yet. If not, we'll just update later on. But I know
Okay.
you said that there's some self-love challenges coming up in 2026. Is that something
Yes.
that's outlined already, or is that more details to come?
It is all outlined, ready to go. Because I'm taking a trip, I'm gonna wait till I get back to like finalize it. But yes, we'll be doing monthly challenges. It's a 5-day challenge. It's called Love You Loud. And every day we focus on a pillar of what, like, the physical, just like you said, like the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. Um, Focusing on each day and then integrating it all on the last. So I'll have some really special deals going on next week so that if you want to get involved and get your ticket now for it. But it's just a challenge to either, if you're starting yourself, if you want to start your self love journey, you don't know how, or you're on it and you just need something more to continue with it. It is open to all, children, high school students, men, female, anyone. Um, Please let me know if you're interested in stuff like that. So yeah, that will be launching in 2026. I'm excited for it.
I will definitely check those out. I'm excited to learn more and continue building the momentum with you. Really excited to watch your company grow. I know that you're sort of leaving your role as a fitness instructor. Not that that part of your life is over, but to focus more on
Ever.
you. And you know what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
What I love about this, you're walking your own walk. You're loving you first. You're doing what you want first. I know it's so corny, but there's so much truth in that. You're not just saying these words, you're living them yourself. So again, that's loveyoufirstjourney.com. Find her at loveyoufirstjourney on Instagram, loveyoufirst.co Instagram. That's the store. I'll put links all in around this video. But Maty, thank you for your vulnerability, your leadership, your mission. I love every bit of this. Can't wait to continue growing with you. And I truly appreciate your time here on the Measuring Post.
Thank you so much for having me. Truly, truly grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
And safe travel. She's going to see her brother in Germany. 6 weeks. That's a
6
heck of a
weeks.
vacation. I'm very jealous. So I'm glad you took some time to love you and love to you and your family and husband, and have a great holiday season. And we'll see you in 2026.
See you in 2026.